Hi, we're here with Julian Bucknall of DevExpress.
That's right.
And he has some interesting things to talk about, a subject that many people feel passionately about, and I'm hoping to hear some unconventional views here.
Oh, okay.
So what are your views of open source versus commercial software, and what's the place for each one?
Well, interesting question. Especially as we're here at HTML5DevConf, a lot of people are well used to open source. They know where to find it. They know where to look, download it, how to use it, and so on and so forth. My viewpoint is, that kind of thing is really good. We use open source ourselves within our products. The issue tends to be, for me, open source is you're not having a relationship with anybody. You're having a relationship with source code, if you like. You are on your own downloading this source code. Let's say jQuery. You're downloading jQuery. You're using jQuery within your website, within your web apps, and but there's nobody at the end of the conversation, if you like. You're just using this software. And I think now where that's a problem is in support. Something doesn't work the way you're expecting it to work. Who do you go to? And obviously there are sites like Stack Overflow, for example, where you go and search for the relevant terms, and hopefully somebody's answered this question before. If they haven't, then you try and pose it in a succinct and legible manner as possible to try and get the answer to your particular problem. There's that part of it. And commercial side of things, it's a little different because you're paying for this software. You have a certain expectation that there's going to be somebody there at the end of an email or at the end of some website that's going to be able to help you, essentially. Okay. You can reach out to the manufacturer.
It's not a favor, it's an expectation.
Exactly. So with open source, that's a good way of putting it, actually. You are asking favors of somebody else to help you out, rather than...
Or they can just say, well, download the source code. Figure it out yourself, contribute to our community.
Yeah, read it. Yes. Read the unminified version and see what you.
Yeah.
So another aspect of open source is something that happened extremely recently, is the whole OpenSSL problem, where there was a security hole in OpenSSL, and it's called OpenSSL because it's open source software. And nobody had found this particular bug until, presumably this security site did, and it's affected thousands upon thousands upon thousands of websites. But there's nobody to take responsibility for the bug and fix it, essentially. And so jQuery, sorry.
It's also interesting that often when open source works, it's got a major commercial backer.
Exactly. Yes,
so
I was just going to say jQuery, for example, is the archetypal open source software where it requires 5 big companies basically employing these programmers just to do jQuery.
I mean, somebody at the end of the day has got to pay the bills somehow. So there's no magic there.
Nope. No.
And so there's trade-offs.
Yeah,
there's no panaceas.
Exactly, yeah. So in one sense, open source is great because it's free, but on the other sense is you're still paying for it somehow. Now, whether it's quick support or quick fixes or whatever, you're still, in some sense, paying for the fact it's free. The other aspect that I see is with open source software, if you find a bug, yes, you can report the bug, but there's no expectation again of them to think it's as important as you do. You can't force anybody to fix the bug. You can try and fix it yourself, for example. If you're an advanced enough developer, you certainly have a go at it and all the rest of it. But again, with commercial side of things, you've got that relationship with the company providing the software. here's a bug. I think it's a bug. Do you agree it's a bug? Yes, it's a bug. We'll fix it. Here's a fix.
It's interesting also that if people have made businesses out of open source, it has been on the support end, because admittedly that is the Achilles heel.
Yes.
I mean,
I suppose
that's why Red Hat exists.
Exactly. You can go all the way back to Red Hat and Linux and
right.
and say, okay, they made a big corporation out of essentially providing support for Linux for a particular fork of Linux, and that was that. Still downloaded for free, but if you want the support, then it costs in some sense.
Yeah, all very good. Well, given that, I mean, your interest in that, I assume partly comes from DevExpress,
yes.
Which has a fairly long and successful history. And what you're pointing out, very practical.
Indeed, we've at DevExpress we've built our company on the fact that we provide libraries and frameworks and user interface controls, essentially, not only for HTML5 and JavaScript, but also the whole Microsoft.NET ecosystem and all that. So, it's extremely interesting for us to get into the HTML5 JavaScript space, in that we no longer have our commercial competitors, if you like. We also have this nebulous competitor that's not really attacking us in any way, but is just there. It's kind of interesting. Another point about open source that I found is we get asked this. Which library should I use? For a particular area, for a particular target space that you're trying to provide a solution for, there's generally 1, 2, or 3 different open source libraries out there that you can use. And it's kind of interesting that we get caught out as well. Our latest library, Phone.js, which is for mobile HTML5 and JavaScript, we originally built it on Knockout. It turns out that more people are using Angular. So, halfway through our development cycle, we suddenly started thinking, well, our customers are telling us we use Angular, not Knockout, so maybe we should use Angular as well, or instead of, and so on and so forth. So we had to do an extra, cycle in our development process to actually add support for Angular. And it's the same, all over with these different libraries, especially the JavaScript space, because it's A, so easy to create it, and B, so easy to download it and update your website, that it's not quite the same when you have things has to be compiled and put in the right place on your machine. And all that kind of
there's
stuff.
a tradition of the different libraries out there. And who knows, we don't, Angular definitely seems to have gained a huge amount of popularity, but you can't even necessarily hang your head on that. I mean, I look at Famous, for example, and I wonder, is this the next one? And will we finally get to one that becomes dominant for a while? For more than half a year.
For more than half a year. That's right. What's going to happen at the next HTML5 DevConf in the autumn?
Be there.
Yes.
Okay. I think, well, thank you very much.
And thank you, Anne. Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you, too.